Hey, good morning. It's Wednesday, so you guys know what that means. Wow, excuse me. It's time for the week 7 wrap up. Actually, full disclosure here, it's more like Wednesday afternoon. I overslept a little bit. We're going to try to keep this one short today. I got a lot of shit to do today. I got to get out of the house. I got some errands to run. So let's just dive right in. We're going to start with In Pickett We Trust versus fourth quarter. Now, this was a big game. This was brother against brother. Against one team trending upwards and one team trending downwards. Um, let's start with the Keith portion of this. I think what you're hearing there is going to explain Keith's team situation pretty clearly. Yeah, it's laying an egg. That's certainly what happened this week for Keith's team. They definitely laid an egg. Um, on the bright side, he's got enough time left in the season. He can get a few more eggs. He might get a whole dozen. He can maybe make some omelets or French toast or something. But anyway, fourth quarter takes the beat down from In Pickett We Trust this week. And by beat down, I mean beat down. He didn't just get beat. He got knocked out of the Survivor League, which doesn't earn him just a laying an egg, but also wow, it was a tough week for Keith. Yeah, I mean sorry, easy Keith, settle down. Okay, yeah, Keith gets the horns, he gets the lays an egg. Yeah, it's been a tough season for Keith's team. He drafted a pretty decent team. They just haven't performed very well for him. For what it's worth, I can relate. I've had seasons like this, Keith. It's tough. There's always next year, bud. But hey, look, I talk all this shit. This could be the week Keith comes out and throws up a 265 and takes over. Who knows? If Keith's team is anything like Reggie's, he's going to put up big points this week. I don't know what it is about talking shit about a guy's team. They seem to follow it up with a big week every week. Hey, there's a little side hustle for me. You want a big week from your team this week or next week? Send me some Venmo me. I'm on there. Send me some loot. I'll talk some shit and let's see what happens. Let's put this theory to a test. Anyway, that's enough about poor Keith's team. Like I said, I can relate. I've had plenty of seasons like this in fantasy football in the years, and there'll be plenty more for me, I'm sure. Let's talk about Jason's team. In Pickett We Trust. Wow. What more needs to be said? This guy's team has it's been a rocket ship. They blasted off the last few weeks. 3 out of the last 4 weeks, they put up over 200 points. He's won 4, maybe 5 games in a row. I think it's 4. Either way, that's a nice win streak. I'd be pretty happy with a 4-game win streak right now. I know there's a lot of us that would be. Then you got freaking Burrow-Chase combo. Come on, man. What's going on there? These guys are almost as good as Mahomes and Tyreek Hill were a couple of years ago. Jason beats his big brother, sends him to 2-5. Jason moves to 5-2, so a little mirror thing there, a little mirror image. And I think Jason's a team we need to be looking out for. I know I've been saying that about Team 3. Maybe I should relook at this, revisit it, and think In Pickett We Trust might be the team we got to be looking out for. Anyway, let's move on to El Diablo versus Frank is Trash. Mike's team's 4-3 now. And they gave Frank is Trash a spanking and sent him home to bed early. This game was over before it even really got started. I don't give out advice on this show because I'm far from an expert. All you have to do is look at my fantasy football league history to know that. But I got a couple pieces of advice. I'm going to try to smash into just one piece of advice for Jason and Frank is Trash. It's time to bench Lamar. That's the first part of this. It's just time to bench him. Look to replace him. I know you don't have a lot of quality backup quarterback depth. and there's not a lot out there in free agency. The next piece of advice that I have for you, Jason, is stay away from Sam Ehlinger. I know you want to. I know you're dying to pick him up. I know you want to so bad. Just don't do it. There's a reason the Colts have had him on the practice squad and relegated him to the back of the bench for the last couple of years. He's not a quality NFL starter. I don't know what it is about this town. This town loves the backup. You remember Jack Trudeau? Yeah, he sucked too, but this town loved him. Anyway, in Pickett We Trust is now 5-2. They're at the top of the division in a three-way tie, but top of their division because he holds the tiebreaker by being first in points overall. It's been a rocket ship ride for Jason's team the last couple weeks, and I tell you what, as long as Burrow and Chase continue to put up the numbers they did the last couple weeks, he's on his way to deep space. All right, on to the next game. Here I am rambling on. I told myself I wouldn't. I got shit to do today. Let's get this going. El Diablo versus Frank is Trash. Mike's team has quietly moved himself into a 4-3 record. I don't know what's going on there. He's just quietly improved his team and moved it into a 4-3 record. He gives him a tie for the lead in the division he's in. It's weird how a team can be improved so drastically by just one player. Getting Hopkins back this week was a big deal for his team. But the conundrum I have with Hopkins, at least in this situation, normally DeAndre Hopkins coming back from suspension or injury or whatever would be a humongous boost to whoever's team he belonged to. And normally I would say that would be the case for Mike, but it makes it tricky for Mike. This gives him 4, maybe 5 viable starters at wide receiver now with Hopkins back. And it's tough to pick from 3 or 4, and now he's got even more. It's hard to pick the right guys in and week out when you have that many quality receivers. I think maybe I see a blockbuster trade in El Diablo's future. Look, I know what I said about trading with the devil, but I might just have to send him a couple offers after I get back from running my errands. Let's talk, Mike. Yeah, come on. Let's talk, devil. Anyway, on to the next game. Again, I'm dragging this out. I'm trying to make this a little quicker than usual. We're going to talk about balls deep versus stealing wins. Yeah, this one was tough for Sam. I'm guessing he knew he was in trouble when he put his lineup in. He had 6 guys off on a bye. That's tough to overcome in a 10-man league. It's nearly impossible in a 12-man league. Debo, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how this Christian McCaffrey trade to San Francisco is going to affect Debo in the future. There's just not enough balls to go around in San Francisco, and this week Debo put up single-digit points. Is it because Christian McCaffrey's there? I don't know. Like I say, in real football, in the real world, that has great implications for a football team. In fantasy-wise, it can hurt. I got a feeling we're going to see a couple of weeks where you see McCaffrey putting up 35 and Debo with 5, and then the next week it just reverses. You just have to ride the wave in that situation if you got either one of those 2 guys on your team. Balls deep. Here's a guy we can finally talk about who had a tight end play up to national tight end standards on National Tight Ends Day. I kind of garbled that, but you know what I'm trying to say. Who's he got? George Kittle. 21 from George Kittle this week. That was the 3rd highest performer on Civil's team, and who overachieved all up and down their lineup. Civil's team, balls deep, seems to have settled into a nice, consistent team the last few weeks. They've won Their last three, I try to get my mouth warmed up here. I'm going to get some bad comments on that. I probably should start over, but no, let's press on. Balls Deep have settled. Like I said, they've settled into a consistent team. They've won their last three after kind of an up and down start early in the season. The first 2-3 weeks they were really up and down, but they picked up some consistency, picked up some wins, and they seem to be on the move. Let's move this along. Ooh, wow, 10 minutes already. I guess this won't be a quick video like I told myself. Tailor Made versus Hertz Donuts. Since we're talking about National Tight Ends Day, let's talk about what Mark Andrews did. Apparently, for my team, Mark Andrews, what should be the number one tight end in the league, apparently he celebrated National Tight Ends Day Eve and not National Tight Ends Day because he was clearly lackluster and uninspired with a big 0 for me. That's just not going to do. I mean, even if he'd have got his normal kind of points, it wouldn't have been enough. My team without Josh Allen is mediocre at best. So let's all hope for good health for Josh Allen for the rest of the season. Derek's team is now 4-3, leading the division. I think it's a 2 or 3 way tie there, kind of the same way the division I'm tied in with little Jason and now Jason Johnson. We're 5-2. The next few weeks are going to be pretty important to see who can separate themselves from the pack in both of these divisions. I guess that's pretty much all I got to say about that. Hertz Donut gives me the goose egg, gives me the L this week. Wow, I am really struggling. Again, not enough coffee this morning is probably my issue. So we're going to skip right on past to the next game. Team 3 versus West Side. Reggie's Westsiders gave Team 3 only his second loss of the season. Yeah, that ties up Junior with myself. I've talked about we're done talking about being tied up at the top of the division. The records at this point, they're kind of meaningless. That's all going to shake itself out over the next couple weeks. I mean, at some point, there will be some separation. Maybe. I don't know. If nothing else, we got the tiebreakers in the points and division games, I guess. I don't know. Dak Prescott was a little disappointing for Reggie this week, coming back from injury. But, I think, 35 points I think he had? Yeah, that's not too bad for a guy just back from a pretty scary injury. Team 3 did everything they could. It just wasn't enough. 70 for Mahomes. That's impressive. A normal McCaffrey day probably would have been enough to put him over the top to beat Reggie this week. But we've already touched on how McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel's numbers are going to be affected for the rest of the year. I don't know. We'll see, I guess. I'm not sure how it's going to play out. Wow, I am really having trouble talking today. On to the final game. And I tell you what, this was a big one. I had more fun watching the box scores of this game, I think, than I did actually watching the shitty Colts game that was on Sunday. It was back and forth all day. Jeff had a chance to make a comeback towards the end and just fell short. Look, if you want to point fingers at why Jeff lost, I don't think you have to look any further than Derek Carr. He had an okay game. You just need a little more than the 30-some-odd points I think Carr got, from your quarterback. It's not horrible, but in Mike's league, you need 60 a week from your quarterback to be consistently competitive. That's a lot of C words. I'm glad I got that out without stumbling. And on the flip side, all the finger pointing for winning on the Biscuits team can go to Austin's running backs. I mean, you got 40 from Kenneth Walker, 111. Kenneth Walker the third, and what do you get from another 23 from? Wow, how do you say that? Etienne? That's a hard name. Let's hope he doesn't do a lot the rest of the year because I don't want to have to say his name a lot. Regardless, it was enough to give Austin his second win in a row, and he seems to be embracing this spoiler position he finds himself in. I know he got a kick out of giving the L to Jeff's team this week, and I got a feeling he's going to give out a few more before the season's over. Hell, he spoils enough playoffs for enough guys. He may find himself there, and really, at the end of the day, that's all you need. Just get yourself into the show and go from there. Let's see what happens. It'll be fun watching Austin's team the rest of the year. I got a feeling he's going to aggravate more than a few guys. I just hope I'm not one of them before the season's over. I think that's going to do it. Again, I went longer than I planned, but, I ramble. I'm an old man. I like to talk. I like to hear myself talk, especially about things that I don't know nothing about, like fantasy football. Anyway, everybody enjoy your Halloween this week. Don't eat too much candy. We're all too old for candy. But swing on by, and maybe it'll be Jello shots being given out for trick or treat at my house this year. Maybe, if I don't eat them all myself. Anyway, take care. We'll see you next Wednesday. Later.